Welcome back, baseball fans, to the eliminating the Houston Astro video for the 77-80 Fall League. It was a pretty good year, very good year for the Astros, winning the West handily over some competitive Dodger teams and Padre teams, and pretty much the same type of year they had a year ago, as they were a number 3 seed. This year, number 1 seed, I should say. Going back to last year real quick, as you look at the present stats, last year they were 19-13, and they had to play in the wild card round as a 3 seed and were upset by the Padres in the one-game wild card playoff. If you remember the Padres last year, they had that remarkable run with Randy Jones. But that was a great Astro team. So Daniel hit 348, 3 homer, 20 RBI, 8 walks. Watson 302, 9 and 30. Jose Cruz 266. They had Larry Dierker last year. J.R. Richards struggled last year with a 77 card. Sambito had 7 saves. But as we look now at the present stats for the Stros for the season we just played, they were 19-13 a year ago, 21-14 this year. Same. They got further in the playoffs, not having to play that wild card game. They played in the divisional round against the Rockies, an expansion team, so they beat them 3-2. Kind of struggled a little bit in that, so you kind of had an idea that they went up against a better team, they might have struggles, and they did with the Cincinnati Reds, who beat them 4 straight. And the Reds are a team of destiny, it seems, to get that World Series ring that eluded them in the 75 and 76 campaigns they played. Nice year, though, looking at the top of the stats here. Dave Collins, 344, 17 stolen bases. Bob Watson at 326. Walling in a platoon with Alou, both hitting 317 in that same platoon. Reserve players Bernard and Radar at 300. A lot of great batting averages. Then you get bent down to Cesar Cedeno, the heart of the team there, at 213. So a bad year for Cedeno got masked by all these other great performances. Look at all the stolen bases, though. 3 guys in double digits. So it was a fun offense to use. And as far as pitching, Richard, this is the first year using that 1980 card. We had a nice little discussion about him in the League Championship video. 5-3, 207 for the year, along with Necro, had a nice year. Disappointing with Sambito. I don't know how this would have played in or affected anything in the League Championship Series, but Sambito was 0-3 with an ERA of 5.06 out of the bullpen with those 8 saves. But frankly, they got into the League Championship Series, and it really wasn't Joe Sambito that caused them to fail. It was the bats. Went quiet against the Cincinnati Reds. I don't know anything more that can be done differently to improve their lot. They're a steady baseball team. I've always had good success with this Astro team in this period. They and the California Angels are sort of mirror images of each other. They do very well in Strat, though Major League Baseball will suggest that they didn't do well in the postseason. But let's take a look now at the Astro team. First thing we do is we pull out their 77 guys. And there'll be 8 of those guys that get removed. We pull these out and then identify them, and then we'll process them and see who is coming back. All right, so these are the 8, and they'll be removed from the team. We got to find the replacements in the upcoming draft. Okay. Not that impressed. 2 definite locks here. The other 6 guys, I'm not sure about. But I can identify a couple off the top there. So these are the Astros that are coming back. They're going to bring back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5. The even split. I'd like to have 7 hitters and 5 pitchers. So let's see. We have a catching platoon of Rader and Newman here. Collins can be a DH or an outfielder. Watson can be at first. Alou is actually outfield platoon with Cedeno in center. So they could use, a second baseman and a right fielder there, and a shortstop. Pitching staff, you got... So, interestingly, Ken Forsch had to go in the bullpen last year because they had 4 starters. They're down to 3. Somebody's missing. One of their starting pitchers from 70. Oh, Lemongello is gone. Unfortunately, only Niekro can pitch on 3 days rest. Richard cannot, nor can Rao. Let me just double check Rao. Yeah, he cannot. So, Forsch cannot either. Now, technically, you could go with just one pitcher on 3 days rest and go with a swing number 5 starter with Brewster in the setup role. But this Astro team should have strong pitching. That has been their forte. So I expect them to go heavy with pitching in the draft so they can match up better with Seaver and Soto, since Richard can't pitch on 3 days rest. So let's take a look and see what the Astros do with those 77 guys. All right, let's check out what the Astros do with the 5 hitters and the 3 pitchers from that 77 squad. First guy is Juan Bernhard. And short little career here as utility player. I don't think he's necessarily even linked to the Astros at this time. He wasn't. So he was just pulled in to fill a need to platoon at third base with a 77 card. His 78 card does exist, so he qualifies for waivers. We'll put him on waivers. I happen to remember that his 78 card exists. How about that, folks? But to check it, because anytime you see a player with a low amount of plate appearances, you want to make sure Strat-O-Matic made the card. So when I do, I go to superds.tripod.com's roster page here. A very great resource that's been online for many years now. Excellent, excellent. And we'll look and see if, just to make sure that we do have a Juan Bernhard extra player card for Seattle. And there it is, right there. Bernhard, House, McLaughlin, Robertson. So his card exists. By his card existing, I don't have to retire the dude. I can just put him on waivers. He can try and continue his career. Bert Campaneris is the next guy. Brought in because of him being a 2 at short. This will be the last year, 77, where his glove would be that good. He does have a nice card coming up in the future. I think in the 83, 81? No, 83. At age 41 with the Yankees and make this card. I think he can only play third base and second at this point. But at age 41, Bert Campaneris, how about that? Hit 322. Kind of fun. Here we are now. This card that was available was an all-star card for the Texas Rangers. Maybe because the Rangers weren't that great in 77. So he's not attached to the Astros. They can let him go. He had a really bad 78. 79, not so much, and then 80. He's really not that much of a player at this point. No need to keep him. Let him maybe get a job with the Rangers or the Angels, maybe even the Yankees, but not quite yet. But he can, we'll check Texas 78 to see if his card exists. And you scroll up here to the Rangers, Infielders, Campaneris. So he's on waivers. All right. Next guy, finally a keeper. Jose Cruz. Definite keeper. I have him even when he was with St. Louis in the beginning. I still moved him over to the Astros. I just haven't played for the Astros the whole time. And so he's got plenty of years to choose from. You see, we're right into the meat. He's 29 years old at this point. So we're right into a bunch of great years for him. 80, he gets 3 MVP votes. Yeah. Great player, Jose Cruz. He is definite keeper material for the Astros. All right, another guy, Mike Cubbage, brought in from another organization as a lefty third base option. He's got some nice years in here. Was a Twin. Twins had Eric Soderholm and other options. He actually has a great 78. It's 282. We're getting rid of this 264 card. 749, nothing to sneeze at there. 720 and 79. These are workable cards, folks. We're a 27-28 left-handed hitting third baseman with power. So, before we dismiss this, maybe we keep him. Let's keep him. I mean, I understand he's not an Astro, but he did all right with his team for a couple years. They like him. They don't want to get rid of him. It was a nice acquisition. I'll put trade here if the Twins come calling and they want their guy back, but otherwise I think they want to hold on to him. All right, next guy is Fred Stanley. He had a really good year in '77 with the Yankees. I know the Brian Doyle, Fred Stanley saga has been played out a lot in postseason lore. But when you look at the numbers, dude had a .370 on base percentage. I mean, he was good. Granted, they only had 56 plate appearances, but that would have been a great everyday shortstop, second baseman, dude like that. Best offensive year. And then after that, a string of not so much. Maybe the Astros have gotten the most out of him, and they're willing to let him go at this point. 78, does he qualify for waivers for the Yankees? Maybe the Yankees can get him back. Have at him. Let's check out the Yankees Infielders, Fred Stanley. So they're going to put him on waivers. When it comes to outsider talent, they value Mike Coverage's performance over the performance of Bernard, Campaneris, and Stanley. All right, now we'll get into the pitching. We need at least a couple keepers here. But we'll start in the starting rotation with Mark Lemongello. Now his 77 card was a nice, very nice card for the guy. I think he's got one more nice card. From 76 to 79. Ends up with the Blue Jays, and it's not so much. Right. So this is the card. Pretty mirror images. He's actually a little bit better in 78 for the Astros. He's only 22 years old. This 79 card with Toronto was bad and was printed, and that soured the overall feel for this guy. Probably had arm problems. He was only 23 years old. Something happened to the guy. But he'll bring this card back. So Lemongello, and I talked about innings eater. This will make up for the fact that Richard can't pitch on 3 days rest. So you can put Lemongello and Necro. His whip is even a little bit better. So Lemongello will come back for one more year. He's also locked into a 78 performance. It's the only year you can pick for him. Kind of narrows the window a little bit for what the Astros can do. All right, they got 3 keepers, 3 waived guys. All right, so we need one more keeper at least. The next guy is Bob Sykes, and actually, I think he might have maybe one more good year. So we have his 77 year, his first year. He is 22 years old. Brought his car in with a high ERA of 4.41. But the reason is because he had a nice split. He could get lefties out. And of course, he doesn't have a connection to the Astros. But the Astros brought him in. The Astros made some nice moves of getting these buy high cards. That was a good value out of Campaneris and a good value out of Fred Stanley in 77. Beyond that, not so much. Sykes, the 78 card for Detroit, I believe, is available. Then after that, it gets a little rough, and his career's over. Let's see if 78, I'm sure this card will be there. We'll check anyway. Do they make a 78 Tiger card to qualify for waivers? We're still in the American League with the Tigers. Bob Sykes. So that would be the 4th guy to put on waivers, because we know who the 4th keeper will be. The next player on the list is Joe Sambito, and he's not going anywhere at all, folks. So Sambito had many good years. And obviously Sambito was the lefty you desire over Sykes in that comparison. So he had a 77 card at 233, $1.13. You can skip 78, it's okay, because 79 and 80 and 81 is all lights out. They do make a 84 card here. And then he goes on after that. He continues for the Mets and the Red Sox into the late part of the decade. Not very good, though. But yeah, he's right in this playoff era window here with the Astros. This is a no-brainer. And with Lemongello locked into 78, as it turns out, 78 is Sambito's weakest whip year. So that makes it easy. You have the versatility of going 79, 80, or 81 with Sambito. So you're not clashing and taking multiple guys from the same year. So there it is. Pretty easy. 4 keepers. I think they might hold on to coverage. This is sort of be a draft kind of watch. I don't know who plays third base for the Astros during this period, if I had to guess. They had Craig Reynolds played short. Who was Houston's third baseman in 1980? Let's say. Enos Cabell, right. Right, Enos Cabell was pretty good. He's not available, though. He's on a very happy Ohio team, the expansion team we put in Ohio, and they have no desire to trade him. So he's the one Astro that got away. Also, Terry Poole's on Portland. He got away. But you do have Cruz, you got Cedeno. Craig Reynolds is on Florida. Morgan gets here in 1980. The Reds are going to hold on to him as long as they possibly can. So, I mean, the Astros really have to build this team through its pitching staff and acquire talent to add to the lineup from other teams. So we have only 2 teams left to do, the Reds and the Orioles, which means we should have 30 times 8, 240 player evaluations. Here's the math right here. You have 123 keepers. The way you do it, every time you put a $10,000 unit for a keeper, $100 for waiver, and $1 for retirement, you can parse this number by drawing a line right there where it says 1, 2, 3, 7, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 7, 2, 4, 5. And so where we're at right now is we need to get to 128, 64, 64. And this is great news. This means we have a bunch of talent. We need to get 19 more retired guys. We have, like I said, 240 players right here. That's 240. And then the Reds and Orioles will have to add their keeper waiver retires. But we're only 5 keepers away from getting to 128. We're a surplus of wavered players who will go into retirement. And we'll have to put the retired list will be good. We're 19 players short. So we're going to have waiver guys go into retirement. And that means that they have a chance to come out of retirement as well for any team. So that's the math at this point. With the World Series to come, hope you're enjoying these elimination videos. We'll see you next time.